Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Galetz, and I'm a program facilitator working with the Regina District Industry Education Council in the Sun West School Division. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce Kelly Kahovec of North of the Creek Carpentry in Rosetown. Kelly is going to tell us about operating a carpentry business in a rural community. Kelly was born and raised in the North of the Creek here right in Rosetown, and he came back to start North of the Creek Carpentry, and now he and his crew can be seen all over town working on various projects. Just a reminder before we begin, the session is being recorded and will appear on the RDIEC YouTube channel for you or others to view in the future. We'd also like to request that any students who watch this session go to our website at www.rdiec.ca and complete the student survey that can be found on the website homepage. Completion of the survey gets your name in a monthly draw for a $50 gift card. Again, the website is www.rdiec.ca. Once again, thanks for doing the session today, Kelly, and I'll turn it over to you now.
All right. Yeah, so I'm Kelly Kahovec. I was born and raised in Rosetown or north of Rosetown. And yeah, I've been a carpenter, journeyman carpenter now for 8 years, I guess. Yeah, I decided to move back to Rosetown and start my own business. I've been doing it since 2016 now. So going into a little over 6 years now. And yeah, loving it. It's great. We can go to the next slide now. Yeah, so a little bit of what I do as a carpenter slash business owner, I guess, is a lot of project planning. Customers or clients will phone me wanting to do renovations, additions. So all that's involved with that is estimating materials, what will I need to do the job, getting a price from either local lumber yard or wherever I can source materials, and then figuring out a cost of what it's going to take for me and my crew to build it, from laying it out, getting permits, designs, sometimes even custom materials or aspects of the job. Yeah. And as a carpenter, you have to be able to read the plans, draftsman or an architect has laid out for you, and building stuff, keeping everything level and plumb and square so that when it goes to the next step, you can have working doors, working windows, etc. Yeah, we use a wide variety of things. You can, one day you'd be working with 2x4s, the next day you could be installing flooring, tile. Yeah, it's lots of different supplies and stuff to be doing. We go to the next slide, Kevin. If you're a carpenter, there's a few things that I would suggest that you really kind of key traits that would be important to have. If you enjoy working with your hands, is a big thing. I love just building things, starting from nothing. And, when you leave work at the end of the day, you can turn around and look at what you've done. I always say that framing is one of the most satisfying parts of the job. When you're building a house and you show up in the morning with nothing more than, say, a foundation in the ground, some concrete. And some days, if you have enough guys in a good rhythm, when you leave the floor and walls up, and it starts to look like a house in a matter of time. That's a lot of fun. That being said, you need to be able to have good work ethic. Yeah. Some days are harder than others. That's definitely one aspect. And then detail. Detail comes in more with finishing carpentry when you're getting to the pretty parts of the house, I like to call it, when you're inside and your doors and trim and every little nick and flaw that you leave behind will show. And you have to be able to spot those and fix them. I guess is one of my little sayings that I picked up over the years was carpenter is only as good as his mistakes is how well he can hide his mistakes. Because in a perfect world doesn't exist. You have to be able to, you know, adjust things and make it look like it is. So yeah, we can go to the next one. And so here's a couple pictures of some different work locations. Me being a small town contractor, we've got a pretty, you have to be flexible if you want to stay busy. There's not a lot of demand for one single aspect of the job, but if you keep your eyes open to variety, you can be busy all the time. The first picture here is me and my guys working on a roof. You know, in the summertime, in the hot summer days, up on a roof, sheeting in the roof, getting it ready to close it in. Then you can be working in a kitchen the next month, doing nice, fancy, finished cabinetry and millwork. And then some days you're in a crawl space, crawling around the webs, looking for where this wire goes and what's holding up the floor, or what the problem is with the house, why things can be moving or shifting, or whether or not you're able to put a toilet where the customer wants it, if they want to move their bathroom, etc. Yeah. Lots of different places, and some are more enjoyable than others, that's for sure. We can go to the next one. And then equipment. So carpentry, you basically everything. Some days you need air tools. One of the key things is hand tools. Carpenter, you usually have your tool belt where you carry all your basic things that you need basically every minute of the job, you know, from a hammer and nails to a tape measure and a pencil, so you can measure cut boards, and a chalk line for marking out plywood, making cuts. And then, yeah, we use power tools, lots and lots of power tools. Seems to be more and more everything is going to cordless. But gotta be comfortable, you know, using skill saws and shop saws that can be dangerous if you're not comfortable around them or using them in the proper manner. And my favorite is probably an air nailer for nailing stuff. One of the easiest tools to use, but it's probably one of the most unforgiving if you make mistakes. You can put a nail into your hand, your foot, really quickly. And then last picture here is my telehandler that we use for everything. It can be an aerial platform to work off, lifting rafters into place, moving material around site. You know, it saves a lot of back-breaking work, I guess I'll say. Yeah, from carrying stuff up onto the floor of a house to lifting shingles on the roof instead of carrying them up a ladder. Definitely a key piece of equipment to have. Yeah, sometimes we use skid steer, dirt work. A lot of times building a fence or something, you'll need to drill post holes. So we'll use them instead of drilling or digging by hand. And then I guess not as much anymore with a telehandler, but a crane is pretty common on a construction site too. We used to use them to, you know, building a house to lift all your rafters up. Before we had a telehandler, you could, you know, if you don't have the reach or you needed something that to be lifted into place, like a steel beam for a basement, you would call a crane to get it set in place. So lots of overhead work and hand signals involved with that. Can be a little stressful, but it's also a lot of fun watching stuff get lifted into place. All right, we can go to the next one. The best and worst parts of being a carpenter. Well, I mean, the rewards, we'll start with that. Like I was saying earlier, seeing a project come together when you start building something for a customer, or say you're renovating a kitchen. That's probably one of my favorites. Is you get to go in, rip everything out, and start fresh, and just seeing it come together and watching the excitement in your customers' eyes when they, their dream kitchen that they've been saving come together, and you get to be part of that and kind of bring their vision to life. They have an idea, and your job is to make it reality. Kind of working with your hands. That's probably one of my favorite things to do. I've never been much for a desk person. Love building things, fixing things. So carpentry is definitely brought that out in me even more, building projects. And then, like I was saying, in rural, we have a large variety. Me and my employees, we the seasons, but yeah, we'll be doing kitchen rentals one day, and then the next project could be shingling a roof to building a deck, and then go back to a bathroom rental. So lots of go from rough carpentry to finished carpentry, back and forth. Kind of got to be flexible. Some of the biggest challenges for me as a carpenter is the weather. Today is minus 30 plus the wind chills, so we're trying to finish up some outside projects before we get too far into winter. And yeah, battling the cold is definitely cold hands, cold feet. Can be not as enjoyable, but you still gotta get the job done so you can move on to hopefully something better and easier. And then I guess being the business owners, the deadlines, you're more so with some projects, you kind of have to meet a deadline. A customer can't be without a working bathroom, say, for multiple weeks on end. You have to, if they work within the timeline, to make sure that they can continue to live in their house and get everything working for them. And a lot of that involves scheduling, because we work pretty closely with electricians, plumbers, can be cabinet companies as well. Making sure that when you're ready, the plumber is there to do the rough-in plumbing, so you can keep putting together their bathroom or other projects. And same with electricians; they need to, where lights are going and switches. And I'm usually pretty involved with that with the homeowner, is doing a layout of the house and figuring out where they would like things to go. And as of late, material shortages have been pretty intense. Things you used to walk into the hardware store and grab off the shelf aren't there, and sometimes they can be a pretty lengthy wait. So you need to plan ahead and kind of have stuff on hand that you wouldn't necessarily expect that you would need right away, or you think you wouldn't get. A big one lately has been garage doors for homeowners. It's over a year wait just to get a garage door. So if you're planning to build somebody a garage, that can be a bit of a problem. Lots of different challenges to overcome. All right, we can go to the next one. Salary and benefits. There's a wide salary range. I mean, entry-level carpenter starting out with an apprentice. So you're entering the program, getting into your first year of work. You start at the lower end of the pay scale and you're learning. And as you progress with the apprenticeship program, each year you go to school, each time you complete the level, is a predetermined, well, not necessarily predetermined, but a pay raise as your skill level increases. And then once you reach journeyman status, you can, the sky's the limit as much as you want to work, depending if you want more responsibility of being a business owner to being a foreman. Some companies you could be a foreman and be in charge of 3 or 4 guys. I know that's how I kind of started. Once I had even before I was a journeyman, I was responsible for 2 or 3 guys on site, looking after projects. So yeah, okay with that. Benefits are fairly dependent on the company. I myself don't have benefits for my employees at this time, but it's always something to look forward or to try and improve the work environment for everybody. Work hours can be quite variable. Usually in the summertime, we try and take advantage of the nice weather. So we work, while we have daylight, we work from 7 to 5, usually in 9 to 10 hour days sometimes. When, it's colder and dark out earlier, we usually cut back to just an 8-hour day, keep everybody happy and not overworked. Kind of give you this time off when you need it. And holidays, basically all your basic holidays, and depending on the company, you could be entitled to, paid vacation more and more. I myself, we're not quite at that level yet, but I'm pretty flexible with when people need time off, you can take it. And yes, pension is also kind of pretty dependent on the company offer at this time, but it's always there. Larger companies definitely offer this as a benefit for being a carpenter and working. We can go to the next one. Education requirements. So if you're wanting to get into the Saskatchewan apprenticeship program, your grade 12 education is a must. To start out, most employers nowadays, that's pretty standard. Even to start out to get a job, you need your grade 12. And then for the apprenticeship program, kind of a hands-on learning. Your first year, you need 1,800 hours of on-the-job training. So you work next to a journeyman carpenter like myself, and just basically learn different aspects of the job. And as a journeyman, it's my job to kind of keep pushing you and giving you more and more responsibility as you progress. And then once you have your required hours, you'll get to go to Polytech for 7 weeks in class. So it's a kind of a short term, which is nice. I myself wasn't real keen on going back to school after 7 weeks. Is a nice little break. Keeps you on your toes, and it can be a lot of fun. The picture here is me in my 4th year carpentry class. We had a dodgeball tournament, so had a lot of fun lunch breaks and stuff. You get to meet a lot of different guys in the trade or people, make some friends. And then once you've completed your level 4, if you pass your level 4 exam, you are a journeyman in Saskatchewan. However, for a carpenter to become a Red Seal interprovincial exam, that is a federal level exam, and you have to get 70% minimum to pass that, and then you're considered a Red Seal carpenter. So then you are Canada-wide. Doesn't matter which province you go to, you're still considered a journeyman carpenter, which is definitely kind of a key aspect if you're looking to travel or move to a different location. Then you still kind of are entitled to the same level of pay. Yeah, we can go to the next one. So here's a little bit of how I ended up journeyman carpenter to a business owner. I started out with a high school job working at the Ag Center in the local co-op, driving forklift and skid steer, loading fertilizer and stuff. Started there. Then I moved on to work at the John Deere dealership as an equipment detailer. So moving tractors and combines around the yard and cleaning them. And then from there, I progressed to a millwright laborer, which was a lot of on the road traveling and kind of learning, working with your hands, fabricating. And then I decided I was at home. So I started out as a carpenter's apprentice in Saskatoon, where I started my apprenticeship program, and I worked for the same company for 6 years while getting my journeyman. And after having my journeyman for about a year and a half, the work in Saskatoon had kind of slowed down, and the opportunity presented itself for me to start my own business. I had a lot of friends and family asking me to do different jobs and work for them. It's one thing you'll find being a carpenter. There's always wants your help or has a question or a project for you to fix a door, fix a window. Lots of that. It's never ending. And yeah, so once that kind of presented itself, I decided to take the next step and become a business owner on my own, which involves buying a lot of tools and equipment. And then it's progressed to now where I have 2 full-time employees, and yeah, we work full-time year round and stay quite busy. It's definitely can't complain how things have ended up. So that's next one. Yeah, so the opportunities, me being a local carpenter, if you do quality work, the opportunities are endless. People are always needing home repairs, maintenance, do home improvements, from building custom houses to custom bathrooms. Yeah, here's a couple pictures of some different projects that I've been involved with over the years. We did a townhouse complex where we built 12 units, all the same, 3 different buildings. It was over a year-long project for us. So lots of opportunities to advance and progress, and depending on which path you choose to take, residential, commercial, there's always room to climb the ladder and take on more responsibility and basically learn every day too. There's always new materials being developed, different ways of doing things, different methods. Seems like every couple of years there's a new way to do things that is better and faster than it used to be. We can go to the next one. This one, the work-life balance. Definitely, at times being a business owner and self-employed is it can be a struggle. It's definitely being a business owner. Work doesn't necessarily end at 5 o'clock some days. Having the responsibility of employees, I have to be prepared for them for the next day so that they have work to do. I can't afford to have them standing around waiting for me to, pick up those extra 2x4s that we need to finish building a wall, or, have them run out of screws or nails. Can't have them standing around. So, sometimes I spend a lot of evenings and weekends planning those projects and making sure that I'm prepared. But it's definitely, I would say being a self-employed does have its perks. When the opportunity is there, you can take and spend time with your family. It's just one of the things of being self-employed. The other day, we had our first snowfall. My daughter, being her first snowfall, I stayed home an extra hour in the morning just so we could show her snow for the first time. So, being able to do things like that, or spend that day at home to help with a sick kid. And part of that is having good employees, I guess. I'm very fortunate that way. that I can trust them to continue on the job when I'm not there. Definitely took a lot of training to get there. It can be difficult struggling the hours, meeting deadlines and stuff sometimes. It's difficult, but I would say I wouldn't change it for anything. Yeah, we can go to the next one. Yeah, that kind of wraps that up for me. If you guys have questions, you can find me on Facebook or Instagram. I got lots of pictures.
That's really good, Kelly. I'm always intrigued by the small town carpenter like yourself who the different kind of work you do, right, like you said, from framing the rough stuff to some of the finished. I've seen some of the finished work on your Facebook. It's just it's impressive. Like you say, I think you can stand back and look at the work you've done, and there's a lot of pride in that, and you take a lot of pride in your work, obviously. So you have a crew of 2 others, right? You said.
Yes. Yeah.
So what for young people that are watching this, what are you looking for? So as a person who, potentially in the future, I'm not sure you're hiring anybody right now, but in the future, if you were looking for someone to work for your company, what are you looking for in the hiring process? Because obviously they're maybe not that experienced in something.
Yeah, I'm definitely always looking for somebody eager. They got to be eager to and willing to learn. I look for punctual guys, people that can show up. When they say they're going to show up is a big thing. You have to be reliable. I need guys and employees that I can count on. I can't have them not coming to work on time. And yeah, I look for good work ethic. I will say there's days where sometimes the work isn't very fun. There's always aspects to different projects that aren't very fun, can be daunting. And having one of the things I notice in my employees is, they're willing to do the work, get it done, whether, work through the difficult part to get to the part that you enjoy. That's one thing I look for, is, and then, yeah, you kind of got to be physical. You have to be willing to work the long hours. Some of the job aspects are pretty physically demanding, so you gotta be able to handle different conditions. And yeah, and then just I have no problem teaching somebody right from the get-go, where they don't even know the bare minimum. It's just as long as they are willing to learn and can retain the information, for the next day. So when you be able to put steps together, when you show them the first step of a job, and then being able to remember that for the next time so that they can start over. And that's a big thing to progressing as an employee is, you want to be able to do more work, or you want to get to doing the enjoyable part, not necessarily being the grunt moving material to complete that job so that you have time to do the rest before the work is complete.
I think that's interesting. You said too, as a business owner or a journey person, your part of your job is teaching. These people that you're hiring don't have your knowledge, so they got to learn that, I guess. Yeah, so it's an important aspect of what you do. Burnett, do you have any questions?
Yeah, you got to teach.
That was an awesome question, Kevin. I think that's about the only thing that Kelly maybe didn't cover in his presentation, because otherwise it was very well done. So I think we're looking at each other in the office here thinking, no, I think we're good. Thank you.
Beautiful work, though.
Yeah, awesome work.
Thanks. We'll stop the recording.